I had the battery in this little guy last night, and I tried to start it, and she didn't want to start up, so we might just rip the starter off, take it apart, see if we can't do a little rebuild job on it and slam it back together. Let's give that a shot. Okay, this is off the starter. This is starter solenoid. This little plunger is supposed to go in and out. Here's the test for that. It's working just fine. No complaints. So I'll put some grease in the starter, throw it back together, fire this baby up. Grease in the starter, and it runs now. Okay, the starter's back on. This is the wire that goes to the coil. That's your ignition wire. This is the wire that goes to your solenoid, and this is your hot wire. When you put these two together, you can hear the electric choke coming on. The coil is getting hot. There's no gas in it, so there's no need to do that. But this is a starter check. The baby's ready for some gas in it. I'm gonna go grab some gas. See if we can get it to fire off. Here's a look inside the fuel cell. Up next we'll put the anti-slosh foam in, and we'll pour some gas in there. Fire this baby up. That's like used to clean the chalk out of the erasers at school. That's what it reminded me of. I'm not sure, I can't remember how to go in there. I guess one stays up and one lays down. Alright. That'd be easier with the gas pump. I see there's already some fuel in the fuel filter. If all goes as planned, we're about to do 2 firsts on the buggy. Drive with brakes, and I've temporarily wired up the key switch. buggy, I just used the 2 existing holes. I drilled 2 holes in this aluminum and I mounted the dash. I'm going to put 2 more little pieces of metal down here that goes down these 2 pipes, and then it'll be in place. And somewhere down the future I want to cover up the back. But for now I'm just glad to have it in place, have the key here. Last night the buggy got the gauge panel mounted. The gauges are put in, they're not hooked up, they're just sitting in place. The only thing hooked up is the key. For the back side, these are the legs for the parts washer box. I'm going to wind up using every bit of those on the buggy. One on that side, this one goes on the other side. Then I'll make some kind of cover for the top. That's coming along good. Parts washer box, Dunkin' Donuts, they got a shout out a couple episodes ago. And Krispy Kreme, they make some good donuts too. I'm going to stick them in there. So I just made a kickstand for the trunk lid. A little piece of scrap EMT that was laying around. Drew a couple holes down. Now the good part about it is when you lift the trunk, it opens automatically. It locks in automatically. I like that. So I just clear coated the legs to the parts washer box. These are going to be the covers for the gauges. The back of the gauges. Let's go install them. There's an idea what the gauge console is going to look like installed. This side's installed. The other side I'm going to take back off so I can hook up the gauges. That's what it's going to look like. Then I got to build some kind of cap, some kind of roof up here. Keep the mud, dirt, and rain out. Just put a layer of clear coat on the headlights, protecting that rust. They are looking good too. As soon as they dry, we'll slap them on the buggy. Now while I was waiting on the headlights to dry, I put the taillights on. Of course one of the bulbs is bad, but hey, one's better than none, right? Oh, shiny and whatnot. Shiny and rusty. Oxymoron. So the headlights are now on. I got one of them wired up. And too bad that's not a John Deere mower, because I can say a deer in the headlights. Oh well. But that's how bright it is. Looks pretty good to me. Okay, on the buggy, I'm trying to get some wiring accomplished. I just drilled a hole here. I want to run a pipe that goes 90 degree up into the panel, swoops down, and then comes and goes into the suspension back here. And then I'm going to take this piece of old Anaconda and I'm going to run it from the suspension up to the parts washer box. Hopefully I can fit all the wires into that Anaconda. So I just punched a hole in the suspension. This is where the seal tight's going to go. Maybe under the transmission and then up to the parts washer box. But not under the battery. Maybe where the fuse box is located. Sounds like a good place to me. Wiring update. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wires going down. They go through the floor of the parts washer box into that little piece of seal tight, and then they go through this into this channel here. Up next I need to bend a piece of pipe, run it through. The pipe goes into this hole, and that'll protect the wires up to the gauges, up into the dash. That's our next step. And I just crammed however many wires would fit into that 1/2 inch seal tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wires. Bent up a 3/4 piece of pipe, EMT. It comes all the way under the shifter, 90s up, and comes up behind this panel. And there's those 6 wires that go straight back to the parts washer box. So here they are behind the dash. If we come back to the parts washer box, there they are again, right by the fuses. Okay, with the dash, everything is hooked up. If you'll notice, the voltmeter comes on. That's just the dead lawnmower battery. The oil indicator light comes on. The only thing not hooked up is the oil pressure gauge. I need a new oil pressure line kit for that. If you want to see the back side, here's the wiring. And now the floorboards have been mounted. That's going to be fun to ride. Feet not dangling. I still have to mount the seats, seat belts, a windshield, brake lights. And this thing should be road ready. Eventually I want to get back brakes on it too. Let's put that on the list. Getting close. So I've got two ignition keys. I just took them apart in case one gets lost. The other's a backup. And this one has a key ring. I've had this key ring for, I don't know, probably 20, 30 years. Now on the back of this key ring there's an advertisement for a Volkswagen dealership, Holton Volkswagen Incorporated, Daytona Beach, 252-0621. I think I need to call them, see if they're still in business. I have to look up the area code, give them a call. And there's the old idiot light. This thing will start back up. We'll go park in the ditch. The reason I'm parking in the ditch so I can show you underneath easier, get up off the ground a little bit. There's a look at the electrical we ran today. All sealed up, goes up to the parts washer box. And then this is a look at the 3/4 EMT we put in. Runs up to the dash panel. I think I like it. The Dune Buggy didn't want to idle, and the idle adjustment screw, somebody thought it'd be a good idea to put a plastic one in there. You could screw it in a little bit, but you couldn't screw it back out, and then I broke it trying to take it out. And in a parts carburetor, I got this nice looking brass one. This guy's about to go in so we can actually adjust the idle. That's what's going on next. It's right in the side, on the driver's side, right in the side of this carburetor, in that hole. And the O-ring on it looks pretty good. We're going to slide it right on in, see if we can get some idle to happen. I think you're supposed to screw it all the way in and then back it out 2.5 turns and then start adjusting. We'll try that. One, 2.5. Alright, I'm going to fire it off, see what happens.